Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be going over my overvalued Dynasty fantasy football running backs. Inside of today's video, I'll be going in depth into 3 different running backs who I believe, based upon their value right now, should be considered overvalued running backs for the 2022 Dynasty fantasy football season. But before we could get into things, I would like to ask, if you are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, to please make sure that you do hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you leave a like on today's video. It would help us out a ton. And if you would like to follow me on Twitter, please do so at Notorious FNTSY. So without further ado, let's get into my overvalued Dynasty running backs list. So we will begin with Antonio Gibson, running back of the Washington Commanders. Keep Trade Cut, running back number 10. Now, Keep Trade Cut is a website that, in my opinion, is very helpful when analyzing the kind of value, the perception on any given player in Dynasty fantasy football. So they currently have him listed as their running back 10, which to me tells me that if you're doing a Dynasty fantasy football draft right now, he would go around running back number 10 in that draft. So Antonio Gibson is one of those running backs that I really believe has a lot of talent, and I think could potentially be a top 5 running back in fantasy football if he was given the correct situation. The problem with Antonio Gibson is that the situation in Washington is very fucked up. Now, it seemed like a couple of weeks ago, J.D. McKissic was going to wave bye to the Washington Commanders, and that was going to be huge for Antonio Gibson. Now, did that necessarily mean that Antonio Gibson was going to become this crazy workhorse in fantasy football like Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler, one of these running backs that just sees so much work on their team, Derrick Henry, guys like that, Jonathan Taylor? Of course not, because there was a chance that they bring in another running back. But what it did mean to me was that they were more committed to Antonio Gibson. And then J.D. McKissic, like I said, it seemed like he was going to leave. It seemed like he was legitimately going to go to the Buffalo Bills, but he hit them with the Tyreek Hill peace sign because everyone thought he was going to the Bills. It seems like he's signing the Bills. Ian Rappaport reports it. Adam Schefter reports it. And then out of nowhere, they just say, you know what? The man changed his mind and he's going back to Washington. And that completely bent Antonio Gibson over a table in terms of fantasy football. Now, again, can Antonio Gibson be a top 12 running back going forward? 100%. But his usage is very confusing with Riverboat Ron as the head coach and with J.D. McKissic there. So I am not completely sold on Antonio Gibson being worthy of being proclaimed as a top 10 running back in Dynasty. He was the running back 10 last year in half PPR, but he was the running back 19 in half PPR points per game, playing in 16 games. He had 258 carries, 16.1 per game, ranking 4th at running back, 1,037 rushing yards, 64.8 per game, 6th at running back. He had 52 receptions, 3.3 per game, 22nd at running back, 42 receptions, 2.6 per game, 16th at running back, 294 receiving yards, 18.4 per game, 24th at running back, and 10 total touchdowns, 8th at running back. The biggest thing that J.D. McKissic is taking away from Antonio Gibson is not the rushing volume, which is very clear by these numbers, right? 258 carries, number 4 at running back. That is fan-fucking-tastic. But what's not fantastic is the fact that his receptions, his target number, is never going to go ridiculously high enough to the point where I really want to consider him to be a top 10 running back in fantasy football. And the reason why I bring up that he's running back 10 and half PPR and the running back 19 half PPR points per game is because the half PPR points per game, the points per game number, to me is way more important when trying to break down how good a player actually was on a given season, because it is not skewed by the amount of games they played. The reason why Antonio Gibson was the running back 10 last year in half PPR was because he played 16 of 17 games. If he didn't play that many games, he wouldn't have finished that high. So in reality, his value from a game in, game out basis was not that running back 10 like the season finish will tell you. And that's why I bring up the distinction between half PPR finish and points per game finish. I talk about this in just about every video, but if you are new to the channel, I want to make sure you understand where I'm coming from here. So again, this is not a video to slander Antonio Gibson. My personal belief, though, is that Antonio Gibson should not be considered a top 10 running back in Dynasty. Especially when I'm trying to draft someone or trade for someone at the running back position, I'm not looking for some guy who's just going to be a top 12 player, right? I'm drafting someone or looking for someone that may be considered as a top 12 player, but I could easily see being top 5 this season or for the next couple of years, and I just don't really see that for Antonio Gibson. Let me know down below in the comment section if you think differently. I'd love to talk to you guys down there. But before we move on into the next player to discuss in today's video, I'd like to give you guys a quick word from our friends and our sponsor, UnderDog Fantasy, on the screen right now. Our sponsor, UnderDog Fantasy, is known for their NFL best ball tournaments. However, UnderDog does not stop there. UnderDog has plenty of other contests for you to compete in, including live draft contests and pick'ems in which you can make up to 20 times your entry fee. Use promo code Awesemo. Again, promo code Awesemo to get a first deposit match bonus of up to $100. You can also click the link in the video description to get the offer and get started on UnderDog Fantasy today. Again, either use promo code Awesemo on your screen right now to get that deposit match bonus of up to $100, or just click the link in the video description. So next up, we move to Travis Etienne, running back of the Jacksonville Jaguars, keep trade cut running back number 12. Now, his injury last season has nothing to do with the reasoning as why I feel as though he is overvalued in terms of Dynasty Fantasy Football, but I still think that you kind of have to talk about the injury, obviously. So he suffered a mid-foot Lisfranc injury. Now, if I pronounce that wrong, I apologize. I'm as much of a doctor as Johnny Sins. So he suffered that injury in the 2021 preseason, so we didn't see any Travis Etienne last year. His injury took 4 to 6 months to repair, so there is really no need to worry about the injury at all, which is why I talked about right at the beginning when I broke down Travis Etienne when I said his name, is that you don't really want to put a lot of emphasis, or put even any emphasis at all, on the injury, because this is a non-issue for the 2022 season. So since he was hurt, though, we do have to go ahead and look at his collegiate stats to kind of gauge his skill level. Now, in 2020, he played in 12 games at Clemson, 168 rushes for 914 yards, 48 receptions for 588 yards, and 16 total touchdowns. So it's pretty clear from those stats. It's pretty clear if you flip the tape on, you go ahead and see how Travis Etienne was at Clemson, that he was very good. So again, it's nothing to do with skill level. Yet again, just like with Antonio Gibson. Now, I said I like Antonio Gibson's skill. It's just the wrong situation. Same thing here for Travis Etienne. Now, if the team goes ahead and trades James Robinson tomorrow or in a couple of days or before the season, right, then I am completely wrong about this take. But if James Robinson is still there in 2022, then I just do not see a way that Travis Etienne could keep that value of keep trade cut running back number 12. And it's not like James Robinson is just going to leave. Like, there's no reason for him to leave. There's a good reason, if I am the Jaguars, to wanting to use a 1-2 running back system there, because James Robinson is an excellent running back. He's great at running the football, not necessarily some elite pass catching back, but he can do both. He could be a workhorse back, but Travis Etienne is phenomenal. He's a speedster running back at catching the football out of the backfield and making special plays. So now they have a 1-2 punch at the running back system. James Robinson on the early downs, then Travis Etienne on third down. Maybe they mix them in at any point in the game, obviously, because these are two very talented running backs that deserve to touch the football. And that's great if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars. That is fantastic, because now you have two running backs. When James Robinson's tired, boom, you throw Etienne in there. He's got that burst of speed. If Etienne is tired, then you throw James Robinson in. It is a perfect scenario to be in when you have two amazing running backs. In my opinion, Travis Etienne was an amazing prospect. I believe in 2022, if James Robinson was to get hurt, knock on wood, we don't root for injuries, then Travis Etienne could be phenomenal for fantasy football. But the issue here is the situation, like Mike from the Jersey Shore. I really do believe that Travis Etienne has the talent. I just worry that he is not going to be seeing the volume that a lot of people expect. And you have to be expecting some phenomenal, some great volume if you're ranking him as a top 12 running back. And I just don't see it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe James Robinson is just dribbled around and thrown to the wayside, and they really do hammer the rock with Travis Etienne. But in my opinion, that's not what's going to be happening. It is going to be a split there in Jacksonville. Still don't understand why Urban Meyer even pulled the trigger on Travis Etienne. It made absolutely no sense at the time. You have James Robinson, who has this phenomenal rookie season in 2021. Then we see him, or in 2020, but then in 2021, we see him have this great season again. He does end up getting hurt. Didn't really make sense to draft them last year, but hey, Urban Meyer's a bit of a dumbass. We already knew that. So Travis Etienne, running back of the Jacksonville Jaguars, just not very excited about him in terms of 2022, as well as going forward, as long as James Robinson is there. So my final overvalued dynasty running back to discuss in today's video is Christian McCaffrey, CMC, running back of the Carolina Panthers, keep trade cut running back number 6. Now, I did talk about Christian McCaffrey a couple of days ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago in another video, but I really want to hammer this point home, but there's a reason why I put him last. It's because I've already discussed him in another video, but the reason why I want to hammer in on Christian McCaffrey is because this could be considered a hot take. This could be considered a very risky take. And in my opinion, it is kind of risky because if Christian McCaffrey is healthy again, he's keep trade cut running back number 6. If he's able to stay healthy, then he is way worth that value, right? If he is able to stay healthy, he's the best running back in fantasy football, bar none, in my opinion. The issue is that he has not been able to stay healthy. In 2021, he plays in 7 games. He's the running back 39.5 PPR. He's the running back 8.5 PPR points per game. And even that number is a little bit skewed on the points per game finish because he got hurt during the game. So if he played all those 7 games fully, then he could have easily been the number 1 running back in half PPR points per game. He had 99 carries, 442 rushing yards, 63.1 per game, 41 targets, 5.9 per game, 37 receptions, 5.3 per game, 343 receiving yards, 15th at running back, and 2 total touchdowns. And notice, this man in 7 games had 41 targets. Antonio Gibson had just 52 in 16 games, so more than double the games. Christian McCaffrey is a legitimate player that can put your whole entire fantasy football roster on his back. This man could score 35 plus points a game, and it would not surprise me at all in 2022, in 2023, and going forward. But the issue is the injury. Now, again, I proclaimed earlier that, hey, I'm not much of a doctor. I'm not a doctor. I am not a doctor. This isn't Dr. Notorious Fantasy. I'm just Nick Lepri, Notorious Fantasy, just the guy talking to you right now on a screen. But at the end of the day, while I'm not a doctor, I don't understand how you can keep him this highly ranked, and he's not. In some leagues, he's going as like the number 3 running back off the board. So this isn't even necessarily crazy to say that his value is just so high for how little he's returned the last 2 years. Now, again, if he's able to stay healthy, then I'm going to be so fucking wrong. People are going to come back to this video in January and be like, Nick, you fucking idiot. How did you have Christian McCaffrey as an overvalued dynasty player? I just really don't see it. I just feel like the team, they keep rushing him back. I made this analogy in last video. They rush him back every single time from injury. He is hurt. He is out for multiple weeks, so he's doing nothing. And then he comes back, and they don't just ease him in. They don't put, metaphorically, just the tip in, right? They go full in, full-fledged Christian McCaffrey, and then the motherfucker gets hurt again. And then injury staff is surprised. Now, I don't know who's on the injury staff, but these people seem fucking stupid. Why are you rushing this guy back in who's keeps getting hurt? Just tease him in there, you know? Use another running back. He doesn't need to have this crazy amount of volume to be a top-end fantasy running back. But they're going to keep doing it. They're going to keep doing it. There's no signs, nothing, I've seen nothing that will tell me that Christian McCaffrey is magically going to get a reduced workload. And unless that happens, I am very worried about injury for Christian McCaffrey. So thank you guys all so much for watching today's video. If you did end up enjoying, please make sure you hit that like button as well as that subscribe button. And make sure you guys check out UnderDog Fantasy. Again, promo code Awesemo. Promo code Awesemo on the screen right now for up to a $100 first match deposit bonus. Or you could just go ahead and check out the link in the video description. Click that. It gives you the same offer. So I love you guys so much. Hope you have a great rest of your guys' day. And as always, goodbye.